Hey guys, Dan here, and the market is rocking, and you probably want to know, where's crypto going to go, where are stocks and tech stocks, and where's all that going to go? So I'm going to give you an update. I've been a little bit variant in my postings, just talking about other things while I was waiting for some confirmation, and we've got some preliminary confirmation. So let me share with you where I think crypto is going to go and where tech stocks may go. Now, as you guys know, disclaimer, it's not financial advice, just my experience. I've been investing in the stock market since the 1990s and crypto since 2014. So I've seen a lot of cycles, and I've seen the same thing repeat itself over and over and over again. So it's kind of interesting. So let's go into a few things. So why there was a lot of fear is the rate cuts that the Fed was supposed to do here in December. The chances of that happening dropped significantly, and now the chance of it happening went up significantly. So people are getting a little bit more courageous because a couple things: quantitative tightening, which means they're not printing money like crazy in a general term, is going to end hopefully December 1st, and then they're going to go to quantitative easing, and that's where they print tons of money and inject it into the market. By they, I mean the government. Now, if we combine that with rate drops, it's a very interesting catalyst. Have you ever mixed Mentos and Coke? Well, that's a similar type of result. Because if rates get cut, that increases more liquidity and more money into the market, cheaper money for businesses, for investors, all kinds of things. And as they're printing more money to make that money available, you combine those things together and you've got a catalyst situation. Those of you who remember back during COVID era when they printed a lot of money, inflation was low in the beginning, but then they printed a lot of money as well, and you saw real estate prices skyrocket. And the post-fear, everyone was freaking out about COVID. You guys know I bought a lot of equities and stock and crypto and things. And there was a big correction, sometimes 40-50%. And you can watch my videos back then. I was just consistently dollar cost averaging, buying. I actually went beyond dollar cost averaging and went mega bold and bought a whole bunch during that correction. I bought a bunch of duplexes and buildings and things like that as well. And it turned out pretty favorably, to this day. So, this is where I believe we're going from here. If we get some actual real job reporting data and unemployment continues to climb, which I'm telling you, AI is replacing so many people, at least in our tech world that I'm in, you're going to see a higher chance of rate drops. Now, if they start printing money again at the same time, massive. And everyone's going to FOMO in, fear of missing out. We saw Bitcoin hitting the low 80s and stuff, and all the haters were posting, Dan, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. Oh, AI tech bubble, blah, blah, blah. But again, the difference in this between the dot-com bubble of 2001, which I lived through, lost some money, made a lot of money after, but the difference here is a lot of these companies have a lot of cash and functional utility. Now, I won't tell you what stocks to buy, but I told you some of my biggest stock holdings personally are Amazon, it's humongous, and also Nvidia, humongous. And I've talked about AMD for a long time on my videos and their functional utility. Now, I'm not saying you should buy them, but they are number 2 in the GPU world, so I think their future is quite compelling. Really super excited about some of the big companies that I've bought for years, like Meta and Google. Think about those as like the big, behemoths. And if you add up all the big behemoths, they add up to a big majority of the whole U.S. stock market, right? So if these things happened, when the tide rises, all ships tend to rise. Do I have some of these AI plays? I told you before the major crash that I took profit on a big percentage of these positions to keep powder dry. During times of massive fear, I like to have 20-30% plus cash availability to be able to pull the trigger on bargains. And so now I'm kind of reverse DCAing at that time, but now I'm dollar cost averaging more. Now, Even during the times where things are dropping, though, as I mentioned in previous videos, I was slowly accumulating more of these larger conviction plays that I have that I believe, and this is an important rule, 10 years from now will have a compelling future. That means they have a lot of the cash in the bank right now and a roadmap that I think 10 years from now will still be relevant. A lot of people think, well, where these people be in a year or two, but 10 years from now, you got to look at things in this long term. With crypto, you know, Bridger Pennington and I started the Ugly Unicorn Crypto Hedge Fund in 22. We've had quarters where we've lost, I don't know, 30, 40% plus, and then made tons of money in the next quarter. So for me, I'm not super concerned about that. I'm just feeling really grateful for a lot of the investors that are dollar cost averaging into that hedge fund. So if you guys are interested in the Ugly Unicorn Crypto Hedge Fund, I don't want to sell you anything, but you have to be a qualified investor now at this point to invest into our fund. So that's a $2.2 million net worth besides your primary residence. And I know a lot of you guys aren't into that qualification, but that's okay. That's why I educate you so you can build your empire, and you'll be there hopefully one day if you execute correctly. But based on your own research and decisions, I'm just an educator to teach you from my personal experience. So what did I do today? Well, I strengthened up a lot of the positions that I currently have of some of those larger companies. Amazon, I love Amazon. It's so cool, man. I order so much. I could probably do like 90% of my like small Christmas shopping there. I like to buy from local businesses for a lot of the more custom stuff that you can't get on Amazon, or when I want supreme service, like at PC Laptops. If you need a computer here in Utah, come see us. That's where, you know, I really appreciate providing local jobs and also where I'm going to need local service and support. So I'm going to spend a lot of money this season to support local businesses. One thing I like to do, and I encourage you to do this, is tipping. And I'm not talking about tipping like on your DoorDash order or things like that. But if you have just like wonderful service, like amazing. I went to my favorite juice bar, Water Fusions, yesterday. And the girl at the counter, they were closing up in like 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, I really need a shake. I'm really hungry. I know you're closing. Is it possible? She's like, sure, no problem. So she made me this shake called the Tangalicious. Awesome. So I got this shake and she just happily served it to me. No complaints, just super chipper. And so I tipped her like 200% or something, you know, and not because, you know, the only reason is it was cool to see a young person that was actually working. I think the girl working there is like in high school or something, but working and going to school. So commendable, taking action on actually getting sales experience. And so she goes, what should I do with this tip? I'm like, I don't know, maybe invest in some crypto or something. I mean, and she overhears a lot of my conversations I have with friends about what we're doing. And so she's like, should I do what you're doing? I'm like, well, it's free money because I just gave it to you. So do what you want to do. And she's like, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, okay, cool. It'll be interesting to see. What's funny is I gave in 2014, one of my employees some money to go grab some coffee, and she actually bought Bitcoin. I sent her Bitcoin, and she kept it to this day, and she sent me a screenshot like a couple months ago, and it had grown exponentially. Remember, Bitcoin was like $150 to $350 back then. So when I gave her a little bit to go buy coffee for everybody, you can imagine what it's worth today, right? Now, these swings in crypto are normal. Like I've told you before, I've seen my Bitcoin go from $170 to like almost $2,000 or $1,800 in that range and drop down to $150. I've seen it go to $19,000, drop to the $3,000s. I've seen it rise up to this high level, 60-something thousand, drop down to 15,000. It just doesn't really bug me because those are just dollar cost averaging opportunities for me personally, for what I do. And, if you just look at the charts, like zoom out, go back to 14 and watch this volatility. This also applies to the NASDAQ for stocks or QQQ, the S&P 500 index. Just look at it historically. And as long as America is doing well, the American stock market does well. And as long as you believe that Bitcoin or crypto is going to grow and become more adopted, then cool. And this also applies to AI. Now, a lot of you guys and girls are buying these weird little small AI stocks, which, again, I do buy some of those, but I only put money in those I'm willing to lose. I kind of metaphor those to like smaller crypto projects, just like smaller AI stocks. But the big behemoths, obviously, are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Ripple, that kind of thing. Those have a lot larger market cap, so they can't rise as quickly. They don't drop as quickly typically, but they can rise pretty good through time if you look at the charts. But what's crazy about the smaller ones is they could literally go to zero. And I look at all as crypto in my mind, that all of it could go to zero. I look at all my AI stocks that they could go for zero. The only thing that I think probably won't go to zero in my portfolio is probably gold, silver, and cash flowing real estate in good quality areas. I think those have some sustained life to them, and those are kind of like more boring investments. And as you guys know, I put the majority of my wealth into those long term though. But guys, I love crypto and I love AI and I love equities and stocks and tech and those things. You just got to not be afraid to take profits sometimes and buy more boring assets, and you can allocate that correctly. A lot of times, let's say you're, 30, 40 years old. Let's just take that, a little younger than me. You might want to have, 20, 30% cash availability, maybe cooking 4 or 5% in a boring interest-bearing account that's fairly safe. One thing you can do, by the way, if you're going to be opening an account and you want FDIC insurance, they normally give you, I think, like 250 grand, something like that. But if you do it jointly, let's say with your spouse, it'll usually, you can talk to your bank to verify. It'll usually give you double that. So you'll have 500,000. And if you have beneficiaries, a lot of times that'll add more. So on some accounts, let's say you have you, your wife, a couple kids as beneficiaries, talk to your banker, verify it and all that. But you could have up to $1 million in FDIC. Now the FDIC is based on the US government, so it's probably still going to be here for a little bit, the US government, because they'll just print more money, right? And so hopefully if something happens and that bank defaults, which we've seen a whole bunch of times, remember Silicon Valley Bank and a bunch of these, it could happen. So you want to make sure that you're not having more money in that. A lot of people will open different accounts at different banks to shield their cash that way. So I'd say that 20, 30% dry powder is good to buy sales, obviously, and you can dollar cost average with that. You can have a certain amount of crazy risky investments. If you're old, maybe less, 5, 10%. If you're younger, I've seen people do 30%, 40, 50%. It depends on your risk tolerance there. Usually on crazy risky, it depends on how much it's appreciated. I float around, 25%, somewhere in that range. And sometimes it goes up to 40% because it's gone up. And then I take some profits and I move it to the boring bucket. But most importantly, though, is try to keep your cash flow good. Because if you run out of ammunition, meaning money, to be able to invest or cover bills and expenses and emergencies, then you're kind of screwed. I've told you guys in previous videos, like if you have a home, talk to your bank or credit union, shop around, get a home equity line of credit, also known as a HELOC. That way you have an emergency buffer. It's like a credit line you can draw from if you have an emergency. Also, it's good to have some credit cards with some limits for short-term emergency as well. But also dry powder, dry cash, some of it available. Warren Buffett is one who actually keeps a lot of cash. I think he's got almost like 300 billion right now, but he did buy, I think, a few billion in Google the other day, which tells you something about AI. That's what he did with Berkshire Hathaway. But what was interesting is I met with couple of those older mentors I told you, and I was speaking to Jeff, and Jeff's like 30%. I'm like, where did you get that rule, 30% dry powder? He goes, well, my mentor, this guy named Bill Child who owned RC Willey, always told me that, and that kept him doing well. And Bill Child's mentor is Warren Buffett, who bought his company, RC Willey, the furniture store, who told him to do that. And Warren Buffett follows that rule pretty darn close to this day. Bill Child, I think, does as well. Jeff does, and Jeff told me to do that. Hence, I've been kind of copying Jeff, and now I tell you what I'm doing, what Jeff's doing, what Bill's doing, what Warren Buffett is doing. It's kind of like Warren Buffett is like Yoda, and then you have like Obi-Wan, and you have Luke Skywalker, and then you got like, the younger Jedi, and then the Padawans in there. So I'm happy to be your Jedi Master and at least share with you what I know. All right, guys, that is it. I don't want to go too long. I don't want to go too short. My videos are typically long, but I do ask you to do one thing. How much is my course? 0. I don't sell a course, so it's not 20 grand a year or whatever it is. I do ask that you write down your plan here and you execute on this thing and you get really clear on the outcomes that you want financially, physically, spiritually, and you schedule on your phone 3 big major moves a day to move towards those goals. That's one. Maybe I'm back. Sorry, lost connection here. AT&T, thank you. All right, so write down your goals, be very specific, schedule actions on your phone every day, and then take a moment right now after this video and share this so we can help other people, because that's good karma. And the Creator sees that as well, and you'll be giving so you can be getting. All right, guys, go execute. Share the video. Love you.